Hello there, Ray here. We got a brand new Minecraft update. This is 25W05A, and this most likely will be for the next smaller Minecraft update 1.21.5. And you can see we got some new cow types as well as some new types of bushes in the game. And yes, those are fireflies. So click that like button and let's take a look at all the new stuff. Minecraft has been giving some sneak peeks of upcoming features. Like here they show the cow and then they show it either going towards the cold side or going towards the sunny side. And they came out with this sneak peek on TikTok. They came out with the new cattle, so in the cold biome, they look like this. They're really cool looking. In real life, these are known as Highland cattle. I have some experience working with these in real life. They do have this really shaggy coat and it's orange, and they got the horns. This is what the babies look like. They're so cute! But there is one thing I would say about the babies is that in real life, they don't have horns. So, maybe remove those, similar to like how the baby goats in Minecraft don't have horns. But this is what Highland cattle look like in real life. Sometimes they're also known as Scotland cattle. And you'll find these retextured cattle in any of the cold biomes, which include the taiga, the snowy taiga, the old growth pine taiga, the old growth spruce taiga, as well as the windswept hills, the windswept gravelly hills, as well as the windswept forest. And the warm version of the cattle looks like this. Look at this. They got these really big horns. They're also kind of a reddish brick color. And let's check out the baby. The babies also have horns, which they shouldn't have horns. They actually look kind of funny with the horns on. And these cattle most likely take after the longhorn cattle in real life, which have these really wide horns. I think that's what they're trying to illustrate in Minecraft. Now, I have handled these type of cattle in real life. They're actually pretty dangerous, especially when you get a tame one, because they don't realize how long their horns are, and they'll turn their head and they'll just wipe you with one of those things. They can easily gore you. It's kind of scary. But the thing with longhorn, they come in a lot of different patterns. There's speckled ones. There's also colored ones, which is pretty much any color that's not black is known as colored when it comes to cattle breeds. But when it comes to actually cattle that can handle warm weather, there is some breeds that can handle it better than longhorns. These cattle here are typically, you see them in like Africa, but probably one of the most famous when it comes to cattle breeds that can handle hot weather is the Brahman. They're very distinguished with their droopy ears, almost like little rabbit ears, but these things aren't typically known to have horns. Overall, a very cool looking retextured Minecraft cow. I know a lot of people complain that they just retexture cows and it takes them months and months and months to come out with new updates, where it seems like all they do is just retexture something that we already had in the game before. But I think when it comes to Minecraft and when they retexture the pigs as well as the cows based off of the different warm and cold temperatures, this is an easy way to bring variety to the game without adding in a whole bunch of leggy entities like a bunch of flying birds or excess of fish. And see, like we had a big problem when 1.13 came out and then added in fish. They were like really leggy, and it really just came down to having that many entities all trying to pathfind and do their own little thing in your game at the same time. So I think Minecraft kind of learned their lesson when it came to the fish, and they still can bring in variety without adding in some useless mob. But when it comes to these warm ones, you can find them here in the savannas, as well as the different other types of savannas like savanna plateaus and windswept savanna, as well as the different types of badlands that include eroded and wooded, and the different types of jungle including sparse as well as bamboo. And when it comes to the default cow, you can find that in all the other biomes. So if we just come over here to where there is a plains biome, this is neither considered a hot or cold biome, so that's going to get you your normal cows. But they're little teeny horns. Look how small those horns are compared to the other ones. And yes, the babies of the old cows do have little horns, which doesn't make much sense. And just like the pigs, when it comes to breeding two different types of cows, the babies can be based off a 50-50 chance between the two adults, and it's not based off the biome that they're currently standing in. But they did slightly change the old cows to make their snout protrude outwards about 1 pixel, and that way they can give a little more definition, especially in the new cows. By the way, I finished my last farm for when it comes to the Gardens Awakening update, being the new Pale Oak Tree farm, so check that out if you haven't already. Guys, we finally got fireflies in Minecraft after all these years, and that is with this new bush block. Look at that, guys. Little fireflies on it, and it is called the Firefly Bush. You can find this near rivers as well as inside of swamps. The thing is, fireflies were first introduced when they started talking about adding the frogs into the game, but then they learned that some fireflies are actually poisonous to frogs. And it seems like when it comes to these sort of things, Minecraft does not want to teach their player base that some things are edible to some animals when they're not, such as parrots can't actually eat cookies, even though in the beginning of Minecraft they had it so that parrots would eat cookies, but in real life this actually poisons them, so now they make it so actually they will kill parrots. So they scrapped the idea of having fireflies come out with the frogs and the frogs eat them. Instead they had the frogs eat the slime and magma. Of course everybody wanted the fireflies, even though they were just these two little pixels that blink on and off. So it looks like we finally actually got it in the game. Now it's obviously not an entity, and a lot of people thought that fireflies are just going to be like two little particles flying around. This seems like an easy way that they can add it in without adding a whole bunch of extra entities which create lag, or a whole bunch of extra particles which can also create a lot of lag. But instead we got a block that is animated. There's a few different animated blocks in the game. One of the first ones was actually when it came out with the ocean monuments and these prismarine blocks that slowly change colors over time. So we'll see if people complain that it's a little bit too basic for the fireflies, but essentially you can imagine firefly insects are kind of like sitting on the bushes and they're flashing their lights on and off. And if we set to nighttime, oh my goodness, look at that, guys. They're quite bright, and look at the particles that are coming off of them. I'm guessing that's like supposed to be like little fireflies. I guess we got particles as well as actual little blinking things. Although these fireflies are missing their other half, as they showed them as being 2 pixels, these only have a single pixel of light. And if we check our light, it looks like they do actually put off light. It looks like they put a light level of 2 off. So you can use this as a light source. Let me know what you guys think about the fireflies. Was it up to your expectations? Now you can get more of these blocks just by bone milling them. Every time you bone mill, it will produce one of these items. So we can use them in just like my pink petal farm, where we power this dispenser here and it just constantly keeps producing them, and we can pick them up and store them away. Besides the firefly bush, they also came out with a normal bush. This is an actual bush in the game. Looks a bit similar to like the bottom half of a large fern, where in the past a lot of people would also use leaves as bushes or the azalea bushes. But this looks so much more natural. Look at this. And you can find these guys naturally within inside of the plains, as well as the different windswept variations, including hills, gravelly hills, and forests. You can also find them along rivers and frozen rivers, as well as forest, birch forest, and old growth birch forest. And like other vegetation, they can be placed into composters to compost them down. Now to get more of these guys, you have to bone mill the bush and it'll plant another bush beside it. So if you keep bone milling one bush, they'll just place in all adjacent blocks with bushes. And if you break them with your fist, you'll get them as an item. So these can be automated with a dispenser pointing downwards onto them that's bone milling them, and then we have some pistons here that are breaking them off. And this is how my sea pickle farm works, where the bone mill above the sea pickle, and then we have pistons around it breaking all off the nearby sea pickles. The only difference is that we have to have water in here to keep these guys alive. And I will be doing videos on each of these new farms, so make sure you guys are subscribed with the bell notification turned on. They also added some more ambient sounds related to sand, terracotta, and dead bushes. So if you have any type of sand or terracotta and there is at least 3 other of the same type around them, it can end up playing the ambient sound of sand idle in any biome up to 8 blocks away, or if it's inside of a desert or badlands biome, then it can also play the sand wind ambient noise. Dead bushes also got a new ambient sound. If there is one of these placed on top of 2 blocks of either terracotta or the sand types, it also has a chance of playing ambient sound. And you can play all the different sounds in the game by using this command here. This one here is idle noise. And this one's a wind one. And look forward to a video where I covered how I changed my automatic tree farm so it actually works for almost every single type of tree, as well as mushroom types. It also changes now if you fall onto powder snow while wearing leather boots. Instead of just hitting the top of it, you will slowly sink through it like it was catching you. But under 2.5 blocks of falling, you just end up standing on it like it's a block. They modified the rendering of the beacon beam. So before, the beacon beam would only be visible up to 16 chunks, so a little over 1,000 feet, but now they doubled it, so now it's close to 2,500 feet. That way you'll be able to see it even if you're way above the build limit. And they also made the beam show up thicker while you are further away. That way it's a little easier to see, and you can use it as a nice marker to find your location. The Minecraft's data pack as well as resource pack got updated to take on all these new changes. We also had a bunch of bug fixes this week. It all relates to the last couple of snapshots and minor changes to like the testing block and some other problems that came up that they fixed related to the new snapshot additions. But there was one interesting bug that they fixed along related to the snapshot, which is shields weren't actually taking durability when they were actually negating damage coming from projectiles. The thing is, there is some projectiles in the previous snapshot that never would do damage, like I showed with my breeze farm. So it will be interesting to see if this change also breaks all previous uses where the shield would never actually break. There was two older bugs that were fixed, the first one having to do with targeted entities, and the second one having to do how the Eye of Ender kind of lags behind where it actually is supposed to be at. So with this one fixed, it should help speedrunners, as they can use the Ender Pearl's flying location to triangulate where the stronghold is at. And the more precise the angle of the Ender Pearl, the more precise you know where the stronghold is. And typically speedrunners wait until the Ender Pearl is completely up in the air, because this is when it gets more stable, but maybe with this fix they can start taking screenshots earlier on and still get precise measurements. But of course this only works in the future version, so it's not going to help them with all the past previous versions, especially 1.16, which is the main version that they plan. Now see how I design these farms live over at my Twitch live streams, which I do 4 times a week. See you all over there. Bye bye.